Hi guys, welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And today guys, I am going to be going through the incomplete series that I am currently in betwixt, in the middle of, in the fray, if you will. A series that I have not finished since starting Booktube. A bunch of people have been doing this video right around this time of year, and so I figured I would add my name to the pot as well, because since I started Booktube, I've been keeping a spreadsheet of the things that I have been reading and, where I plan books ahead of time and, track like how long it took me to read it and that kind of stuff. But I always have one page of the spreadsheet that tells me which series, if I'm caught up, or, what series I'm in the middle in. So it's really tracked everything since I started Booktube. And so there are several. So I'm just gonna go through these and, we'll see and try to figure out why I haven't freaking finished it yet. The answer is Buddy Reads. So without wasting any more time,
let's get down to business.
All right, let's talk about the series that I have yet to complete. Now, I'm only going to include series for which there is another book currently out that I have not yet read. So if it's an incomplete series, for example, Burning Blade and Silver Eye by Django Wexler only has one book out, Ashes of the Sun. Yes, book 2, the series isn't finished. Book 2 is coming out in October, but I'm not counting that. I am finished with that series as far as I am concerned currently. Now in October when it comes out and I haven't read freaking Blood of the Chosen, well then I add it back to my list of unfinished series. So that's how I'm determining this. So the first series that I'm in the middle of is The Destroyermen by Taylor Anderson. And I'm on book 2 of this. The first book is Into the Storm. The second book is Crusade. And this is a book I've not talked about at all since I've been on Booktube. So this is a kind of an alternate history / portal fantasy. It takes place during World War II on an American destroyer ship, and it is chasing a Japanese destroyer, a Japanese battleship, over in the Pacific theater, and they go through this big storm, and they come out the other side, and the Americans are in this alternate Earth where humans are not the ones who evolved, but instead they look like a combination of lemurs and cats, and they are creatively named the Lemur Cats. And also this really terrifying race, reptilian, crocodilian race called it ain't the Grisha, let me look it up. What are they called? They're called the Grick, and they are terrifying. And so it's a really interesting, it's a really good book, and I reviewed it, but it was one of the first reviews I did when I started my channel. And so by the time I actually got around to, because originally I only released one video a week, if that, once every week and a half, because it took me forever to edit. And so by the time I got to where I was, I needed more material to release, I had Into the Storm there, but it wasn't very good. The review wasn't very good because I just didn't know really what I wanted to say, and I talked much slower than I do now. I was just less comfortable on camera. So I tried to save it, and I was able to save some of my earlier ones like Gardens of the Moon and Dead House Gates and Guards and things like that. Guards actually was out of focus and I had to film it a second time, which is why I was able to save that one. So I just scrapped it, and I figured I would come back to it if I ever actually read Crusade. So that has been on hold since then. I think there's 17 books in the frickin' Destroyermen now, and I don't know how it escalates from there. I have no idea. But they have to, they have to learn to live on this kind of foreign Earth. The fact that they have this actual American battleship, that kind of gunpowder, massive tech, lends incredible advantage to the Lemur Cats in their war against the Grick. And so it's actually really, really interesting. Oh man, this guy was a former Navyman, and so he uses naval terms because it was his job. So you just better be along for the ride. You'll learn everything there is to know about a freaking American warship. But it's a really good book. It's a really good book, and I want to read Crusade, but I haven't actually gotten to it. I'm hoping I can at least pick up the second book next year because, again, they're really short, so I at least want to, read Crusade. It's 300 pages. Next on the list of incomplete series is The Black Company by Glenn Cook. So I read the first trilogy again. I was trying to read one a month along with Mark at Slowly Read's read-along that he was doing over there, and it just got away from me. So I read the first trilogy, which is Black Company, Shadowslinger, White Rose, and I just haven't gotten to Silver Spike yet. I still want to. It's still short. I am definitely trying to finish series, and I've been doing a really good job of closing down series. Unfortunately, some of them have been opening up again, but I'm trying to put those on low priority, these new ones that I've just been, caught up in a buddy read or channel read-alongs or shelf space read-along. I'm trying to postpone those sequels and those series while finishing up these other series that I started. So I am hoping to finish Black Company next year. I'm hoping to continue with that because I really like Black Company. I know a lot of people don't, and book 1 doesn't, most people don't think it holds up really well. Book 2 is excellent. It is just excellent. It's Lovecraftian and great characters. But the Black Company, for me, is a fantastic series. I've read the whole series like 4 times. But it is a series that is greater than the sum of its parts. Like, individual books are not fantastic. I don't like books 5 or 6, but the whole picture, when it's all said and done, is well worth the journey. So, hoping to get to that one again soon. Next up, and I'm probably most sad, I'm definitely more sad about this one than the previous 2, and that is the freaking Sharpe series by Bernard Cornwell. I read Sharpe's Tiger again early in Booktube, and I have not moved on to Sharpe's Triumph. I really want to. I have discovered that I actually can really get into historical fiction on audio. I've been reading Winter King via audio, and the narrative is fantastic. And, there's not a bunch of, made-up places or magic systems, or there's nothing, it takes place in freaking, the Dark Ages England. So I know enough about that to where I'm not confused, even though it's on audio. Same thing with the Sharpe books. The problem is the Sharpe audiobooks aren't any good. I've listened to the sample and I do not love it. I have someone else who told me they have listened to the Sharpe books and are just like, they are not good on audio. And this fills me with sadness. It'll be a great way to consume the Sharpe's books. But I'm definitely going to read another Sharpe book next year for sure. I want to read some more of those. Maybe I can convince some other people who want to read historical fiction to read Sharpe. Maybe I can get maybe the Brothers Gwyn will hop on and read some Sharpe with me. Maybe I can get, I don't know, Dr. Philip Chase or, other people who like historical fiction or like Bernard Cornwell to jump on that and read some Sharpe with me because I love Sharpe. And Bernard Cornwell writes historical fiction and military historical fiction battles. He's got to be the best in the biz when it comes to realistic battles. Absolutely fantastic. And, Sharpe's the best. Next is a series that I just haven't finished yet, but I have been plugging along, and this is the Discworld City Watch books. I am currently on book 8. I have but 1 left, and I will definitely read that before the end of the year. I made it all the way through Thud, which is the last book that I had read of it. It was the last one that was out when I actually stopped reading fantasy. And so the last one, Snuff, I have not actually read before because it came out during that period that I just didn't read fiction at all. So I am super excited to read Snuff for the first time, a brand new watch book, which, hasn't happened for 20 years for me. And, then I can close that series, put that series to rest, and I'll probably read a couple of standalone Pratchett books before I start another Pratchett series. So I'll probably read Small Gods and The Truth before I start with, I'll probably read the Death books. Rincewind, you're gonna be last. You just need to know, Rincewind, you're gonna be last. So I'm excited. I'm excited to read Snuff, but at the same time, I'm sad to let go of Vimes because I love the City Watch, and y'all know I love me some Commander Vimes. Next is a cursed series, a dreaded series, a series that cannot be spoken after dark because its very name invokes sadness and horror and dismay. It is a book about betrayals, a series about betrayal and failure, of rising up and being knocked down. And that is the Founder series by Robert Jackson Bennett. I hate this book. I hate this man for writing books that I cannot remember either the first line of or what the cover looks like. I have failed challenges thanks to both of these books.
Shorefall?
The Key. There's a freaking key. Oh my gosh. Oh, what have I done? And I am saddened by this.
Oh,
It's neither one?
it's Foundryside.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh no. Did I just lose a challenge based on the first book of Shorefall. And it's weird to say that that's literally the reason I want to freaking read Shorefall, because every time I look at it, I feel ashamed. But I read Foundryside last year, and I loved it, and I just never continued with Shorefall. One of the reasons that I'm not super excited to continue is that Bennett doesn't even have a release date for book 3. And it's been a couple years. There's not even there's no general window about when book 3 is coming out. We don't even know the title. So I'm just not in a great rush to read Shorefall and then have to sit there and wait for book 3. So I do need to read Shorefall. I really liked it. It's a great fantasy series that's almost sci-fi. Like the magic is almost like science, where they they rewrite the laws of reality on things, called scriving. And it has my favorite fake swear word, which is scrumming. You scrumming idiots. Which is weird when they have fake swear words, but they also use real swear words. I mean, why not just use the real ones? Why are you using the fake ones that you made up just now? So, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Eventually, I'll get back to the Founders trilogy. I probably will read Shorefall once book 3 has a release date. Next, we have The Novels of the Malazan Empire by Ian Esselmont. And the next book I have to read is Stonewielder. So I stopped these because I was reading them, because I'd read Malazan up through book 8 like thrice, right? And then I had stopped at Toll the Hounds the most recent time. And so I was trying to commit to reading the whole thing. But when I started my reread this past year, like the summer before I started Booktube, I was reading them in kind of chronological order, because I'd read, up to book 8. So I read, Knight of Knives between book 5 and 6. And then after Bone Hunters, I read Crimson Guard before going into Reaper's Gale. And I disliked Return of the Crimson Guard so much, it literally took me 8 weeks. It took me 60 days to read 800 pages of Crimson Guard, because I just didn't like it. I thought it was boring, and I didn't like much about it. I thought there was some cool things, but most of it I didn't like at all. And so after that, I was like, I can't. I just can't even. I'm just gonna finish the main series, because if I keep having to do this, I'm never going to finish the main 10, and I'll be right back where I started. So I finished the main 10, and by that point, I had commitments coming out of my, ears, and so I had other things to read, and I am a little gun-shy about pulling the trigger on Stonewielder, another Esselmont book. Philip Chase has assured me that I will probably like this book better, because it does have naval battles, which is awesome. I do love naval battles, like the Peloponnesian War. I love the Peloponnesian War because of all the naval battles. So there's a ton of that, and I do hear his writing gets better and better with each successive book, so as long as it's demonstrably better, I'll be fine. I do want to read it, because I need to read all the Malazan books out there other than Carcanis. I'm not going to read Carcanis. Everyone that knows my tastes and the things that I enjoy about Malazan and the things I don't enjoy is just Carcanis is probably not for you, Alan. And you know what? That's fine. I can go the rest of my life without knowing what happened, where the frickin' Andy came from. I'm assuming they were always depressed and mopey. So I'm hoping to get to Stonewielder next year. I'll probably read The God Is Not Willing first, but I do want to get to Stonewielder next year as well. Next we have Rage of Dragons, or the Burning series, I guess, by Evan Winters. The next book is Fires of Vengeance. I think that book 3 is coming out next year, The Lord of Demons. I didn't really care for Rage of Dragons. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. If I had a glossary and Amazon had not sent me the wrong copy of the book that didn't have a glossary or the last chapter, I probably would have rated this higher, maybe 3.5 instead of 2.5. But that's because the first 50 pages were so confusing to me that I held on to the rage I felt in the first 50 pages of being so confused without having a glossary and without being able to figure out what's going on, that it colored the rest of my experience. So it was fine. I didn't love it. I think there's some dumb stuff, and we'll have the argument about Tao's power-up all day if we need to. That's fine. I don't get tired. I, too, have trained the way Tao has. And so my tolerance for arguing that particular point is higher than yours. So, it's fine. I do want to read Fires of Vengeance, because I did like a lot of the colonialism, imperialism stuff that was showing up at the end of the book, and the kind of the political stuff that was showing up at the end of the book. And I did like the side characters. So I do want to read Fires of Vengeance. I don't hate on the series. I'm hoping I will enjoy Fires of Vengeance better than Rage of Dragons. Next, the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee, and I've only read Jade City. I still have to read Jade War, which I get conflicting opinions on. People like Charmaine And Abby loved Jade War and say, oh my gosh, it's amazing and it's incredible. But then there are people like Michael Knipp and Klaus who are like, I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's fine. I mean, it's good. It did a good job doing what it's trying to do. It's just what it was trying to do wasn't super interesting. I liked Jade City. I did. I gave it 4 stars. It's not my favorite thing. It is very slow, and it is urban fantasy and that kind of mobster, gangster, drug trade. That's not my favorite kind of plot, aesthetic, setup type thing. But I did enjoy it, and I thought the character work was fantastic, and just this simmering tension, this slow burn Goodfellas movie. And, you know, some things happen that I did not expect, and I do like the politicking that goes back and forth, so I do really want to read Jade War. It just got away from me. Everything again got away from me. I think I didn't read Jade War right away because Jade Legacy wasn't coming out till the following year, the end of the following year, but now it's like, you know, Jade Legacy's almost out. So this will be higher on my priority. As soon as Jade Legacy comes out, I'll probably push Jade War up so that I can read the last book. This next one, I know, guys, it's Mistborn. I need to read Hero of Ages. I haven't finished it. I haven't finished Hero of Ages yet. I'm so sorry. It'll be my first complete Sanderson series. I really want to get to Era 2. I don't have any excuses other than the fact that it's freaking 800 pages and I have so many other things that I'm behind on that I could read 2 400-page books instead of 800 pages of Mistborn. It is high on priority. I will absolutely finish it before the end of the year. I promise you, I am hoping to get to it very soon. I want to read it. It's so good. I love it. Please don't yell at me. I'm working on it. Guys, I know I need to read Hero of Ages. So when I say which ones should I prioritize, you can't say Mistborn. I'm going to say it at the end. You can't say Mistborn. You say any other one but Mistborn. Next, Of Blood and Bone, and I'm not really behind on this. I just finished A Time of Blood, and next is A Time of Courage. I'll finish that next month because that one's easy to stay with because I've been having collabs with Abby and Philip and Patrick and Sarah and Jimmy. And I think that's everybody. So I'll be done with that one next month. I'll be done with that one in September, early October. So I'm not worried about one. This is John Gwynn's second trilogy after Faithful and the Fallen, and I'm really enjoying it, even though it is both similar and different than those first 4 books. Next is one I really want to prioritize, and that is Spellslinger, the YA series by Sebastian de Castell. I only read the first one, and I still need to go to the second one, Shadow Black. This is a 6-book series. It reads very, very quickly. I really liked Spellslinger, but I did not love it, mostly because there's a really abrasive, animal character, and I'm not a huge fan of abrasive characters in general, nor am I a huge fan of talking animal companions. I actually really prefer the not talking animal companions, but if they're gonna talk, I'd prefer them not to be rude. I don't love rude characters in stuff just in general. If you watch my channel long enough, you know that. The characters I dislike are always the super rude, super abrasive, super That's my impression of them. It's like, I don't care what your damage is, man. Straighten up and fly right. You're with your allies, stop. They're your allies, quit being a douchebag. Just stop. I don't like jerky characters, and I don't like jerks in my real life either. I don't have time for that business. With time, I have softened on that character. It doesn't rub me the wrong way as much as it did when I first read it. And, we had an interview with Sebastian de Castell, and he's the nicest guy ever, and because of that, I want to finish all of his canon before the new Greycoats book comes out early next year that I'm super excited about. So I definitely want to prioritize this. I'm hoping to at least get to book 2 before the end of the year, and then continue that early the following year. Next, probably the series I want to get to the most, and that's Dagger and Coin by Daniel Abraham. I was going to read one of these a month. I read Dragon's Path in June, and I, again, got bogged down in all these things, and I wasn't able to read book 2 in July, I wasn't able to read book 2 in August, and I just need to read book 2 and finish it. I love Daniel Abraham. You guys know, you watch my channel, I talk about Long Price Quartet all the freaking time. I want to finish this series because he has a brand new solo fantasy series starting in February called Age of Ash is the first book. And I want to read it so bad. And I had wanted to finish his existing catalog prior to Age of Ash coming out. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, but I definitely want to finish it. Jimmy loves Dagger and Coin, I want to finish it so I can then apply the verbal thumb screws to get him to read Long Press Quartet, so then we can compare Abraham's, complete works. I know Petrick is on book 4. I was trying to stay with Petrick, but he reads too fast. Curse you, Petrick! So, I really want to read it. Like, the character work, some of the groundwork being laid in book 1, I know is going to pay dividends. Abraham is an architect writer, 100%. I know, knows what is going to happen in book 5, in book 1. And so it's all just planned out. And this is why the first books can feel a little, slow, I guess, because he really is laying that groundwork for the payoff later. I will be reading King's Blood very soon. Next is Under the Northern Sky by Leo Carew. The first book is The Wolf, the next book is The Spider, book 3 is The Cuckoo, which is not coming out until next year. I'm not in a huge rush because book 3 isn't coming out until next year, and I liked The Wolf. It was the Shelf Space book club pick for July. I had a great discussion with Leanna at Leanna's library, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think there's some weird, actual writing issues with it, in that I think Leo Carew wasn't an experienced writer. But there was enough in there with political intrigue and two generals facing each other on a battle and war, and kind of like the exploration of culture and language. I really liked that stuff. And I also really liked the character, kind of the antagonist introduced toward the end of the first book, that is the titular spider of the second book. So I do want to read this soon. If I don't read it before the end of the year, I'll probably read it very early next year, so that I'll read it with a couple months out from when book 3 is going to come out. The next one is Ember in the Ashes. I have Torch Against the Night, the second book. I liked Ember in the Ashes enough, like what it was trying to do, and because she's a really good technical writer, I just don't think she writes very good villains. So I am eager to see where the story goes. Maybe not eager. I am curious to... Eager's a little strong. I'm curious to see where the story goes. It read so fast that I can spare 2.5, maybe 3 days to read one. It is not high on my priority list because I didn't love Ember. So it's not super high, but it is on my list of series to complete. You'll note that on this list, Akamath is not there. A Court of Thorns and Roses, that series is not on my to-be-completed list because I don't care. This one I do. I am interested in seeing where it goes. I don't know when I'm going to get to it. It's not super prioritized, but, maybe someone will force me to read it sooner than I plan. Next is the Powder Mage trilogy by my arch nemesis, Brian McClellan. My feelings about Promise of Blood are well known, as is my continued mispronunciation of its title. I think Promise of Blood has one of the best opening chapters of any fantasy book, and I would pit it up against many, many, many others. It is phenomenal. And I love the premise, and I'm so angry that the premise just doesn't hold this story together. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating to me. But, as you know, I am on a quest to find the best of Flintlock fantasy, and like it or not, The Powder Mage is the quintessential Flintlock fantasy book right now. There's none other more popular. There's none other more widely read. It is the paragon of Flintlock fantasy right here. And so if I'm going to really say that I'm going to judge the best of that genre and adjacent genres, then I have to have read The Powder Mage. I've been reading the novellas. I am 1-1 on the novellas. One I despised, and one was actually quite good. So I will be reading the next novella soon, but I need to read Crimson Campaign, book 2 of the main series, and continue. I'm hoping it gets better. I think a lot of my dislike of Promise of Blood was because of the expectations I had going in, and after that first chapter, I think I can temper my expectations now to where if it's the same, it'll be like, okay, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. And if it's really good, I can be like, oh, nice. I think that's what may have happened with Forsworn, this other novella. I'm like, I am expecting another Siege of Tilper, and it wasn't that. So I was like, well, all right. So I will be reading Crimson Campaign pretty soon, but I'm going to get through the novellas first, since all the novellas take place before Crimson Campaign. Next is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. So Diabolic was meant to be a standalone, and then there's 2 more books after it. And trust me, when I read The Diabolic, it feels like it was meant to be a standalone because there's a lot of rushed stuff. Even though this is a YA series that is based on I, Claudius, that is set in far in the future. It's in our world, but it's far in the future, and it is very Roman, and the first 200 pages are excellent. I have a review coming up for this book, hopefully this week, if not this week, then next week. I really enjoyed the first half of this book, and then it shifts gears and brings in a bunch of tropes that I don't particularly care for, and wraps up things really quickly, and some things that happen that I don't really understand and don't really make a ton of sense to me, but it was good enough at the beginning to kind of like buoy it, and it never really like completely dovetailed into, you know, ACOTAR territory or some of the dumber stuff I don't like about Ember and the Ashes. So I do want to read the sequel because I did really like the Diabolic for the most part. The sequel is called The Empress, and I don't know when I'm going to get to it. There's a third book after that called something, I don't know, Nemesis maybe, but I do want to read it. I don't know when I'm going to get to it. Again, it's hard for me to prioritize like more younger feeling books just because I have all these other books like, you know, military flintlock fantasy that I really want to read. But I'm going to try to work those in between, like if I just need a breather, because these books only take like 2-3 days to read, unlike all these other freaking fantasy books that, you know, take me at least a week. And then finally, probably the series that I am most excited to continue on this list, and that is Shadow of the Apt by Adrian Tchaikovsky. As you know, I'm running the August of the Apt read-along of the first 4 books, which form a complete arc of this series. I loved it, guys. I think I'm the only one in my Discord that gave it 5 stars, but we have a lot of 4.5 stars up in there. I think the lowest anyone's given it is 3.5. I love this book so much. It hits so many chords that I just really love about fantasy and just that the aesthetic, the like early industrial, you know, airships and steam power. It is exactly that subgenre that I am exploring, and I didn't even realize it when you know I suggested it and it was chosen. So I love it. I cannot wait to read book 2. I'm not gonna lie, if books 1 through 4 are, if the whole thing is that good, I may be like, hey, do y'all want to just keep continuing and keep the read-along going? If not, that's fine, and I'm going to keep reading them regardless. But if everyone still loves it by the end of book 4 and want to keep the read-along going, we will keep it going. We won't know until November. So guys, that is it for me. Those are all the series that I am in the middle of and want to continue. What should I prioritize? What do you think I should prioritize? Let me know down in the comments. You cannot say Mistborn. I know it's Mistborn. I know. I'm going to read Hero of Ages. I want to read it. I need to read it. I need to read it so y'all can see my face blow up or whatever y'all are waiting for when I finish reading that book. So what series are you in the middle of that you most want to continue? So that's it for me. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.